Welcome to the Service to Syndication podcast, where we interview the biggest and most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, capital raisers in the world who have worn the uniform of this great country, those who provide services to our men and women in uniform, and other service-oriented professionals to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets to help you conquer your dreams and goals in real estate and to use this wealth creation vehicle so you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of generosity and prosperity. If what you desire is time, lifestyle, and financial freedom, you've come to the right place. We will bring to you the best real estate entrepreneurs who will give you the insights, the knowledge, experience, skills, so you can go out and crush it in whatever real estate asset class you desire. So grab a pencil and paper, sit back, and enjoy the ride on the Service to Syndication podcast. Hello, my servicemen and women and other service providers. Welcome to another episode of the Service to Syndication Real Estate Podcast. I am your host, Cedric Marlowe. I am a U.S. Navy vet. Here on the Service to Syndication Real Estate Podcast, we interview the most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, capital raisers in the world, where most have donned the uniforms of this great country. We aim to provide the tool sets, the mindsets, skill sets for you to achieve your personal and business goals while using real estate as a wealth creation vehicle to help you live a more successful, happy, and fun-filled life. I'm super excited today because I have with us Mr. Iven Vian, who is a top-notch real estate investor and multifamily syndicator. But before I properly introduce our exciting guest to you, as always, I want to ask a favor of you. Please, if you get some value out of today's interview, if you get some type of insight, mindset shift, if you learn a new skill, new information, receive inspiration or motivation to go out and take some action, to make some progress in your life, please share this episode with some of your friends. Send it to someone who you know who might be or could be interested in real estate. Share it on your social media, post it on your wall, or share it in your stories. Help us spread our message while you help others. For all of you who share this episode, I want to say thank you. Again, everyone, I have Mr. Iven Vian. Um, First as a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, and then in his 15 years of residential and commercial real estate investments, attention to detail and entrepreneurial spirit, and a strong team ethic drive, his management of his portfolio of over 3,700 units, and inspires his role as Anthem Capital's lead operations manager. Ivan is responsible for all business plan executions, deploying the latest property management technologies, and installing cutting edge operational systems to stay ahead of the competition. In addition, his military training has taught Ivan the genuine meaning of investment responsibility and due diligence in assessing new ventures. Anthem's team ethic is close to Ivan's heart. He strives to build Anthem into a prominent investment enterprise with back end staff and asset managers capable of executing operations with military precision. Moreover, the team builds relationships with local agents and brokers to access the best opportunities and build credibility wherever Anthem establishes a position. Ivan has been married for 18 years and is a devoted husband and father of three sons. In his free time, he enjoys travel, hiking, and fishing with his family. All right, Ivan. Again, thank you. And so, the first thing that I like to do with my guests is ask them to walk us through their real estate journey in 75 seconds or less.
Hey, thanks, Cedric. Appreciate it. Happy to be on your show today. My real estate journey in 75 seconds or less. Well, man, it started off when I lost $24,000 in the stock market as a young second lieutenant. It stung real bad, and I said, "There's got to be a better way to make your hard-earned money work for you versus you work for it." my mother-in-law knew I wanted to get in real estate. I started talking about real estate. She told me about a single family property where the lady was going through a divorce, and she said, "Hey, go knock on her door and see what you can do." And I was staying with my mother-in-law at the time, and I literally just dropped everything, went down, knocked on the door, introduced myself, asked the lady if she wanted to sell me her house. She said yes, and so I bought that house for $33,000 and rented it for 850, about a $300 a month cash flow. And the real estate bug was set loose inside of me. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool! I actually earn money 5 different ways in single family, and versus lose the $24,000. And but I started buying a single family, and I realized there's a lot more to the story, and learned a lot about multifamily, and realized that I needed to scale and wanted to scale. So I set off on a journey to go out and buy multifamily. I could not raise capital, or I did not have the capital that I needed to get started. So I got my real estate license. And on my lunch break and after work, being in the military, I sold single family houses to all investors. And that was an amazing turning point. 99 houses in 2 years. I took all that money, put them into single family, built up a portfolio of about 30 houses. And then I sold all those houses, jumped into multifamily 8 years ago now, and never looked back. And today we've done about, like I said, actually around 3,000 doors, full cycle in 14, and been able to raise roughly $90 million. And I have the fortune of being able to do this full time.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And what relatively is a short amount of time, being able to raise 90 million, sell off your assets and be at 3,000, units. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. So go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So as a real estate investor, podcast host, content creator, I've seen a lot of your stuff on Facebook and YouTube and things like that. And let's not forget the most important job of being a husband and father. Where do you find the time?
Well, I mean, everyone has the same amount of time in their day, right? And so it's really about understanding priorities and then putting in teams, tools, and tactics in place in order to be able to accomplish those priorities. So I would say the more you grow, the bigger your team has to become, the more productive your team has to become. So it's really about having teams. Is how I found the time.
Okay. Okay. So let's go back in the Wayback Machine. So what prompted you to join the military?
Oh wow, man. My dad took me to an air show when I was in the first grade, and it was the Thunderbirds flying, and their recruiting efforts got me because I got excited about flying, and I set my eyes on that goal. I just wanted to be a pilot in the Air Force, learn about the Air Force Academy, and did everything I could to get accepted to the Air Force Academy right out of high school. I did not get accepted right out of high school. Someone else got accepted over me, so I had to go to prep school and get my scores up. I was not the best, still am not the best test taker, but I can work my tail off if you put me on something. So I got my scores up, got accepted to the Air Force Academy, and here I am today. But yeah, it was just an air show when I was a little kid.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Um, so so you went to the prep school, got you, and so that basically got you in.
Yeah, I went to a preparatory school, not the one at the Air Force Academy.
Okay.
It's another preparatory school down in California, and so, but yeah, that's how I got accepted.
Oh, nice. All right. All right. Now, was your total time, was it active duty? Was it reserves or a combination of two?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did 10 years, 11 years of active duty Air Force, and then I learned about active guard reserve, which is
Mhm.
basically active duty Air Force with all the same benefits and pay, which was by far the best job I've ever had. It was absolutely incredible. I flew my last gig in the Air Force for 8 or 9 years. I flew functional check flight, where they tear the B. I flew B-1 bombers. They tore the B-1 apart, refurbish it, put it back together, and we would fly these non-airworthy aircraft and make them airworthy again. I wouldn't make it airworthy, would test them out and then write up what's wrong with it, give it to the maintenance personnel. They would make it airworthy, and then we go fly it out, fly it and test it again. So that was a fun job. Definitely been in a lot of interesting situations, as you can imagine, flying non-airworthy aircraft. Thank God I never had to eject, um, and I don't plan on to ever again. So that's why I haven't flown as much. No, just kidding. uh, but yeah, it was a great ride.
Yeah, yeah. That's the one thing that I always hear about from majority of my guests, and I know myself included, being in the military, it was a great ride. And you sometimes you kind of look back on those days, and when a lot of times when you're in it, when you're in the muck, in the mire, you're like, man, this freaking sucks.
Mhm.
But then, when you step back from it, you're like, man, those were some of the best days of my life.
Yeah,
Yeah, good stuff.
yeah, man.
Yeah. So now let's go back to that that first single family.
Yeah,
Around what year was it that first ventured into real estate?
yeah. 2007, 2008,
Oh
2007.
wow.
Long time ago. Long time ago. So it was like right before the crash happened, and it was about to kick off there. I think it was around 2008. You know, I wish, I didn't have the awareness, the wherewithal of all these things that you learn doing real estate, of making sure you have cash stored up because the crash is about to happen. I can go scoop things up 30 cents on the dollar, but the crash happened, and then I bought the first house, and then I got a second house right when the crash happened. But that second house took me out. I overpaid, over rehabbed,
Mhm,
and went $80,000 in the hole, and that sucked, man. And so here the crash happened. I didn't have any capital, and had to dig myself out of the hole.
mhm,
So I did, though. But the key takeaway is I didn't have mentorship, and I went and got mentorship, learned the model, didn't reinvent the wheel, and applied the model, and continued to work myself out of the hole. And I was able to scoop up another rental property. I had about four rental properties when I was down in Texas in the early days, and then I had to start all over, save up a bunch of money, and move up to Oklahoma, and hit the ground running. And I came up to Oklahoma with the intention of being a full time real estate investor when I retired. And um, like I said, I hit the ground running, started buying a bunch of properties, ran out of capital, got my license, and uh, like I said, never looked back after that. And here I am today.
okay. So in conjunction with being in the air guard, you were selling homes at the same time?
Yeah, like I said, on my lunch break, so um, it was pretty. It's like I had a pretty good system down. I would line up all the houses I would want to see during the lunch break if I wasn't flying, send it out to my contacts. They would meet me at the house, literally open the door for like 5 minutes. On an investment property, it's just you open it, either it works or it doesn't. You can assess how much it's going to cost to rehab, what the rent is, and you send in the offer. And then I had back end transaction system set up where I could just sling through the transaction. So I remember one week I had seven houses in escrow. It was pretty cool, but I didn't have to close them. So being in the military, basically my job was just to advise and help out the investor find deals. And it was an amazing time, man. That was a huge turning point, huge opportunity. I think one of the key takeaways I would share with your audience is that having a goal is one thing, but when you press in towards your goal, sometimes you don't know where the solution is going to come from. You really don't. Like I didn't know my broker was going to say, "Hey, go get your license." I didn't know what was beyond. And once I got my license, I didn't know what was beyond that. I didn't know I'd sell 99 houses. I got my license, and he gave me a client, and he said, "Go sell him some houses." Literally no training. And I had to go figure out how to even log into MLS. I just got the license. I could barely log into MLS. And but I just made it happen. I could teach because I was an instructor. I know how to break things down in bite-sized pieces for people to understand. And so I did that, and my clients um, took took a liking to that. And so then it was just off the race. Like, oh my gosh, I got something here, and opportunity just started coming to me. And then some of these clients I ended up doing deals with, or my partner today, who I've been working with now almost 10 years, was my first client. And I mean, imagine that. I didn't know getting my license was going to lead me to my business partner, who I've been working with for now 9 years today, who we together have now done roughly 3,000 doors in real estate. And so, if you just put it out there and then put in the work and commit yourself to it, it does happen. I do believe that. And a lot of the people in the military, if they're listening, that they think that, it's, let's say, military is a service, it's not for pay. Okay. I mean, if you even look at a pay scale of a 4-star general who's been in 25 plus 30 some years with all the credentials and experience and capabilities, and then compared to who someone at a corporate job and what they make at district, regional, or VP or COO level, it does not compare at all. I mean,
No.
it's they make pennies compared to what civilian world makes. So it wasn't for pay, and that lends itself some challenges though in your own mindset. Like, we all have different pay scales in the military, and uh, even though we're all, even you can have an enlisted person with an education, but still, an enlisted person is going to get paid so much, right? And an officer going to get paid so much, and that creates some barriers in me. And so I had to learn to overcome that and find ways to overcome that. And one of just working my tail off, honestly, and keeping the side hustle going. But two, then know that you can still transition from the military to full time real estate investor if you're willing to put in the work and those opportunities do come to you. And so I just encourage everyone that is still contemplating that idea. How am I going to do it? Keep doing it and keep it in
Yeah.
the work, keep showing up. I would get up freaking early, like 6 o'clock in the morning, see what listings had dropped that no one else had, no one else would get. Early bird gets the worm. I would go in and shoot a house, like take pictures of a house before I even went to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, freaking cold as, get up in the winter time frame. And then I'd blast it out to my investors and I would have it on a contract that afternoon. I mean, it looks like that. Or, when I'm starting buying apartments and I have a presentation, a webinar I have to give, on my lunch break in my car, on the hotspot of my phone, messaging my VA through WhatsApp on how to fix the freaking slide so I can give a presentation that night at 7 o'clock. Like, you just like, it's not going to be like this. It'll show up because you believe it. It's like you got to freaking do the work and find a way to get it done while still doing your job. And I want to caveat and say that my duty to the Air Force was my primary job. I had to make sure I perform, especially flying big aircraft that requires a lot of focus and attention and keeping your body healthy and your mind right. So, but you still can do it. And ultimately, I mean, if I didn't have my partner, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So the fact that I had my partner was absolutely vital and key. One of the key things that have happened in my life is to find those right partners that you could partner with, and then you can scale. Doors will open for you at that point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. You definitely, have to find that person that complements your skill set. And yeah. And I'm glad you really mentioned that, basically, you know, you got to put in the work, that dirty work, like you said, getting up, getting to a house 6 a.m. Who wants to be out at a house at 6 a.m. in the morning, you know, to just take pictures, hoping that one of your investors will want to invest in the house. But it's that dirty work that you have to do if you really want to. That's going to lead to your success down the road. I totally get it. So good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so now you transitioned, sold all your single family assets, and moved over to um, multifamily syndicator. So what markets are you guys currently in at Anthem?
Yeah, I'm in Kansas City, Salt Lake City, and Fort Worth.
Okay, okay. And along that line, what class assets are you guys investing in? A, B, C class value add?
Yeah, primary Class C, Class B, um, and value add. Moving forward, focusing more on the Class B assets. I've cut my teeth quite a bit on the Class C, and they come with their own unique set of challenges. Every
Mhm.
asset class does, but more focus on the Class B asset class now.
Okay, okay. Now, you guys been doing this now for, you say, maybe about 8 years or so. Uh, how are you guys finding your deals now?
I mean, nothing's really changed. I mean, I'm about to go to NMHC at the end of the month, which is one of the largest conferences where all the brokers go, and have all my meetings set up to meet with the brokers. First and foremost, is set relationships with your brokers in your primary market. And I run my own mastermind where I help people find deals and learn how to underwrite and raise capital and then ultimately operate them correctly. And so what I tell them is focus on like one market, man, maybe
Mhm,
one, no more than two, and drill deep, very niche level. And part of that is building your team, and like deep relationship with your team. A lot of people are very surface on their process and they have multiple markets and just touch base with all these brokers. I'd rather just focus on like maybe it's a handful on one particular market, maybe four,
mhm.
maybe three, four, five brokers the most, and date them continuously, interact with them on a weekly basis so that they get to know you well, get to know, and then doing that, your opportunity comes. It's I don't know. I don't like the shotgun approach, like more of a sniper approach.
Mhm.
So moving forward, I'm more focused on just Dallas and really building deep relationships with other brokers in Dallas.
Got it. Okay. Now, how are you nurturing these relationships that you guys are that you have with these brokers?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Phone calls, luncheons, conferences, dinners, um, set a bottle of whiskey every now and then, whatever it takes, man. Write them, Christmas card, birthday, whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes. You're dating these people, and you got to stand out, right? And a very, of course, don't be annoying. Don't be a freaking twerp about it. Don't be that guy, right? But you know what I mean. Like, just be a good person, but
Mhm.
uh, they got to know you, man. And just like, just like going on social media, dude. If you do, I know you and I do, so that's where we found each other. But like, you may see a post with somebody, you're gonna forget about it probably in the next 2 minutes. Think about these brokers. They hear, they have phone calls with 10 people a day or whatever. Like you're already forgotten about the end of the day. Like there's someone else already in their feed. So you got to be consistent. And you can't if you're spread across multiple markets, it's hard to be consistent with one or two brokers. They're gonna forget about you.
Yep. 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 Definitely. Definitely. I like that, the sniper approach versus, that shotgun approach. Be laser focused, um, you know, stay in contact with your brokers. It's a relationship. That's the one thing that I always like to make sure that I let people know. Real estate is a business, it's a relationship business. And
Yes.
so you have to build that relationship however you do it.
Yeah, however you do it, 100%. It is a relationship business. It is an unfair business, honestly. It is an unfair business in the apartment space.
Mhm.
And, human naturally, people hook up their bros, their buddies. Okay. So it is what it is. You got to be willing to accept that.
Mhm.
Knowing that, then make sure you go out and build those relationships.
That's it. That's it. All right. So let's transition to maybe like your most recent acquisition that you guys had. How was it acquired? Was it syndication, joint venture? Um, so,
Yeah. So yeah, we do syndications. We didn't buy anything last year. So
okay.
those transaction, I think, we're down to 30% of what it was previous year. So I mean, nationwide, no one bought anything last year comparatively. But um, previous to that, we bought a nice 254 unit in Kansas City through
Mhm.
syndication. It was fixed debt with a local bank. Um, Non-recourse component burned down based upon debt service coverage ratio. We are roughly a year or so into it now. I guess a year and a few months. Um, Fully deployed all of our capital on the rehab plan, on the exterior interior rehab plan. Um, we've stabilized it, and then unfortunately, there has been some delinquency, and nationwide there's delinquency. People are listening to this pretending that there is no delinquency. I think probably not telling you the truth because there is delinquency. A lot of lessons learned and going through this process. Again, I'm dealing with delinquency, but we're inching back up. We're about 90% pre-leased on that one, and should be stabilized here in the spring, going in spring. Um, Overall, though, we underwrote it very conservatively, so we're still okay.
Mhm.
In our projected income levels, close to it in the first year of holding, or just past the first year now, and so um, that's the point. There is that the fact that we're conservatively underwritten to give ourselves enough of economic vacancy padding in the first year of holding. Uh, we are still going to be just fine with this property, especially with the fixed debt on it. It's kind of a legacy asset, actually, and the previous owner had it for 20 plus years, and they were more about just keep the property full, keep your rents very low, keep it stable, and so we saw a huge opportunity there to come in and uh, re to rehab the property up to market standard and raise the rents and realize additional income that way.
Okay. All right. So, how's this currently managed?
Sure, we have a third party property management company.
Okay. Okay. So, has Anthem considered going vertical?
Definitely consider it. I live in Oklahoma City. I believe going vertical makes sense when you're co-located with where you buy a majority of your property. I don't quite have the concentration of the opportunity here in Oklahoma City, in my opinion, on this market versus other markets. So if I was going to do vertically integrated property management, I would do that in, say, a Dallas market. But I'm married, three boys, and quite established here in Oklahoma City, so don't have any plans of moving to Dallas. So you know, but still, if you take the time to vet the property management company,
Mhm.
vet them really, really well, inside and out. I have now 100 questions, up to 100 questions that I analyze and ask and date them for a while, actually, before you even ask them to oversee your property. You can almost treat that relationship as if you're vertically integrated to a certain degree, meaning
Mhm.
you're leveraging that relationship that you've built over time to have influence in the direction, as you should, but to have influence in the direction of the property where you're leveraging the property management company's systems and processes and people to affect a result.
Hey, thank you for tuning in to the Service to Syndication podcast. If you are a military service man or woman, government employee, or any other service related professional, this is for you. I once was where you are. As a service member, I lived paycheck to paycheck. As a government employee, I knew there was more out there for me. I tried all the get rich quick schemes. None of them worked. Then a friend of mine introduced me to real estate investing. I am a commercial multifamily syndicator who helps those who have served in the military and those who provide services to our men and women in uniform and other service oriented professionals achieve their time, lifestyle, and financial freedom by investing passively into multifamily real estate. If you know that this life has more in store for you, I invite you to tune into the Service to Syndication podcast to learn the tools, tricks, and concepts to help you achieve the time, lifestyle, and financial freedom that comes with investing in real estate. So go over to cobbscreekcapital.us. That is COBBSCREEKCAPITAL.us and schedule a call so that we can get to know one another and see how we can work together to help you achieve your goals.
And then you can let them take care of the property management component, and you still can be able to implement it and get it effective business plan implemented. So that's more of the focus that I have is I'm very keen on apartment operations and asset management and making sure that we go through a very thorough process to ensure we hire the right property management company to oversee our assets.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's key. To make sure that you do have the right person. And yeah, you definitely, and I like the fact that you did say, you guys, you kind of date them a little bit, at first, before, you lock in. And that's key also to have that 100 question questionnaire, you know, to, because you definitely, it's a marriage. It's a marriage, you know. I trust and believe me. I've heard it to where, sometimes you got to get that divorce. You may not want to, but at the end of the day, it's a business, and you have to make sure that your investors come first in this business. And so if the property management company is not willing to carry out your business plan, sorry, you got to go.
100%.
Uh,
Exactly. Yeah, definitely a lot of lessons learned there on um, when you make the switch, how you make the switch. I've been through quite a few switches now. It's never fun. It sucks. It just sucks. The fact that you even have to make a switch in the first place.
right.
Um, but exactly, you got to do what the right thing is to do. Uh, when you understand the problem and you see it in its full its entirety, you understand you got to make a switch, then make that switch. And then go about it as soon as you possibly can. Once you do, make that decision.
Yeah. Yeah. So this 254 unit, what value adds have you guys applied to this acquisition?
Yeah, updated the office to more modern look and feel. Updated all the interior units. Roughly 30% penetration on that out of 250 some units. So maybe 60 some interiors, exterior paint as well. Modifications give it nice curb appeal and pop, and a nice monument sign on its way as well.
Okay. So, did you guys go through the property management company to find the contractors to do these repairs and renovations on your assets, or did you guys find them on your own?
Yeah, I have a third party. Actually, I have a vertically integrated construction team
Oh,
um, that we actually provide services for other owners as well.
mhm.
In case anyone needs interior, we specialize on interiors, but we do everything. So, but yeah, very interesting. They're all Ukrainian. A lot of them came over because of the war. The U.S. supports Ukrainians to come to the U.S. on a very fast visa process, and I have a friend who really good friend. He's Ukrainian, tied to Ukrainian workers, and so they came over and set up a company, and they have done absolutely amazing work for us, and very proud of their work. They all live on site. They work Monday through Saturday from morning till night, and they don't do any other jobs. Like a lot of the challenges you have is these construction teams do jobs for other owners while doing your job, and that dilutes the whole focus and productivity overall, which is not good because your money is time is money in this business, and the longer your unit sits there unrented, the less money you make. And I
Mhm.
don't like that, nor should anyone else. And so that's why we brought that process inside, where we have control of that process to uh, ultimately affect the deliverability of our interior units, the overall rehab project.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that I like that because you guys can actually control, the time frames, uh, budgets. Not necessarily can control that as much as maybe you would want to, because materials and different things happen that you were not anticipating. But so kind of like along that line, have you guys been on budget with your renovation so far?
You see, yeah, yeah, yeah. We have been on. I mean, there are unforeseen things that come up, right? And so you have to. It's just part of any budget. You leave enough pad in the budget. There's unforeseen things that come up. You have more issues in whatever component or category, so you have to reallocate your budget towards other components.
Yeah.
That's the key, is to remain flexible in your process. And also, you don't do anything unless it's going to drive a return. What's the point? There's no point in making a property pretty, let's say, if it
Mhm.
doesn't actually create rent bump. There's some markets, some cases, a lot of cases where we don't even do anything to the interior. It may not be something you would want to live in, but the market wants to live in that. The demographic in that market, sub market wants to live in that. So we save our capital dollars and allocate towards other projects on the property. And so that's the case here for this property.
Okay. All right. You mentioned sometimes you run into any unforeseen um, issues. Did you run into anything that you guys were not expecting once, say, renovations started?
For sure. I mean, like I said, I mean, plenty of things come up. Um, you know, in the summertime, HVAC units
Yeah.
like to belly up. So you got to be careful about that and make sure I estimate roughly 15% or so of the property usually will have to be replaced or modified significantly. So make
Mhm.
sure you allocate enough capital for HVAC, things like that. We had a car that someone ran their car into a lower unit and put a big hole in the property. So of course that creates an issue, right? Someone trashed a complete unit, absolutely tore it apart to pieces, so two times much rehab cost than what originally thought. Like I said, those things just part of the business, part of the trade. You got to make sure you add enough cushion in your budget overall to account for that.
Yeah. 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 I totally agree. Yeah. A lot of that stuff just comes with it. However, the car, that's a whole different situation. That's not something you can plan for at all.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but life happens. I get it. So let's transition to your team. I know you talked about your business partner that, he started out, he was, one of your investors, that you were selling homes to. You guys decided to partner up and start Anthem. You've talked also about your construction team, basically. Who else do you have on your team? What other positions do you guys currently have?
Oh, I mean, you need executive assistants. So important. I wish I would have done this a lot earlier. Is get an executive assistant to handle all the back end stuff.
Mhm.
There's so much that is involved in the back end, and just from an admin standpoint. So definitely hire a good executive assistant. A lot that goes on the marketing side as well as you're raising capital. People have to know who you are and what you're about, and marketing is a full time gig as well. And so we've actually brought in an additional partner to help on the marketing side as well as build out a marketing team on the back end as far as social media manager and editor and copywriters and designers and all these things like that. So a lot of effort on the marketing side of things. As far as scaling out, bringing in co-GPs on various sub markets, so we have boots on the ground. Just oversight is so important, and leveraging the overall process that we've built over the years is how we're able to scale in various markets.
Okay. All right. So, you just spoke about raising capital. Are most of your investors retail investors or someone that's pretty much in the real estate space?
Yeah, most of them are retail.
Retail.
Most of the retail.
Okay. Okay. So, doing the fact that they're retail investors, how do you guys educate them? Uh, because majority of retail investors, as we all know, may have some other profession, who may know little to nothing about real estate outside of buying their primary home. How do you guys educate them and things like that?
Yeah, great question. So we've had many webinars, trainings for investors to help them get educated and aware of what it is in the syndication business. So a lot of it comes just through online trainings.
Mm. Okay, okay, I like that too. Um, doing the webinars, and that's something that actually I'm implementing in my business as well. Just generic educational webinars to educate our investors who, like mentioned, may have a day job doing whatever it is and may know little to nothing about real estate investing, and just so that they can know that there's an alternative investment opportunity other than 401k, the stock market, and things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. That's good. Um, uh, so basically, you guys are probably doing the same exact thing for trying to build new investors, educating them with the webinars and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And we do weekly newsletters as well, and
Okay.
and stay in front of that way. For me, again, I have my own platform on asset management. So a lot of my education is informing and training on asset management. Even if you're not a student or member, I still teach on asset management as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some of your some of the things you've spoken about as it relates to asset management. Yeah. Because you definitely need that. Yeah, even though we all have those property managers, you also need to know how to manage them and also the asset overall. So do you still keep in touch with some of your comrades that you were in the military with?
Yeah, a few of them, and a few of them have become investors and whatnot as well. And so definitely got to have that. I guess you can
Yeah.
keep the memories alive. Back in my day, conversations.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Back in the day, remember when, and
Right.
things like that. Yeah, yeah. So you also answered a very good question. Um, you know, you know, do these conversations kind of lead over into real estate? And with you saying that some of those comrades have now become your investors, so that needless to say that those conversations kind of bleed right into real estate, and that's good. That's good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you give back to the military community?
How do I give back to the military community? That's a good question. I'm very focused on real estate, and I
Mhm.
think for me, the way I give back is through that. A lot of people that reach out to me. I just actually met with a gentleman the other day at a local coffee shop here in Oklahoma City. He just sought me out on Facebook, and he's a full time pilot right now, AWACS pilot, and with this dream of becoming a full time real estate investor. And he's like, "How do I do it, man?" And I was like, let me share some thoughts with you. Let me give you some things to think about. Let me give you some things to work on. And so I have a lot of those conversations with people, just not expecting anything in return, really
Mhm.
just help out and help them see that there's another way. I mean, there's plenty of ways to secure your retirement and your future and all the things that we talk about, like 401ks, TSPs, and IRAs, and all those things. But very few people know about the real estate syndication space and the great benefits you have of investing in multifamily. Um, nor do they know it's even possible for them to be able to do something like that themselves. And so I think a lot of the ways I give back is just showing them a path, a way, and giving transferring belief that
Mhm.
they too can do it. So if I can do it, they can do it. And that's what a lot of my focus is on when I have those conversations with military people.
Nice, nice. Yeah, yeah, that's huge. Yeah, showing them that there's other opportunities out there. Yeah, it goes a long way. So, Ivan, before you became this very successful person I see in front of me today, give our listeners a little bit of your backstory, like where you grew up, how was your upbringing, what in your past shifted your mindset into becoming the person you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. Hmm, that's a that's an interesting question for me because yeah, I I didn't grow up with married parents, both college graduates and middle to upper class lifestyle. Parents were divorced at a very young age. My first memories of my father was actually meeting him in prison because he went to jail for armed robbery, and that created a lot of emotional challenges to me because I had an identity that was built based upon my environment, my upbringing.
Mhm.
Eventually I was let out of jail and come home and um, had a rough start and tried the best he could to support me. I was living with my father most of my early days of my childhood, and my mom went off and remarried, and just didn't have a lot of leadership or guidance in my family. And my dad did drugs and he was an alcoholic and all these things. And um, something inside me just saw my dad. I saw, I don't know, by the grace of God, man, saw my dad and said the fact that those activities are leading to this lifestyle and this result. I want to become absolutely the opposite of this person. Um, and I did everything I could, uh, honestly, which is not healthy. But I had my own internal angst and frustrations. Can you imagine? Wanting a dad, but not having one. But I tried to prove that I didn't need one. And I went out and pursued success and became super driven in my life. And I learned about the Air Force Academy. I wanted to fly. And then I learned about the Air Force Academy, realized you get a full ride. I knew sure as heck my family can't send me to college. So I said, well, maybe I'll get accepted to the academy. So I get the hell out of this town and do something for my life. And so I worked my tail off trying to get into Air Force Academy. Like I said, I didn't get it right out of high school. Could not take that dang test. I ended up taking a test 15 times, man. And the 15th time, I got the minimum score I needed to get accepted. It was the best day ever. I got accepted. And like I said, I had to prove to myself that I could do it on my own. And that became not healthy though, because imagine living a life of still a lot of insecurity and a lot of anger that I don't need a father. So it actually reinforces the internal wound and makes it even larger. So it's like this self-licking ice cream cone that just continued to perpetuate into more pain and hurt. And I carried a lot of that through my own military experience. And it was very hard for me because at the same time, I secretly wanted my dad to give me approval. Like imagine graduating from the academy, you want your dad to like really show his approval of me. Didn't really get it, or graduating pilot training, didn't show up, or any of those events that you would want your father there. He was not there. And that was a really huge battle that I had to learn to overcome. And finally, one day during COVID, I decided I wanted to flick this burger once and for all, man, and really deep dive in my life and got a lot of help and really walked through that whole process. Got a lot of healing as a result. I honestly believe I'm a changed man because of that. Such that I actually am now thankful of my father and realize that he did not actually not love me or want to support me or not be there for me. He simply just didn't know how, didn't have the tools himself. And honestly, I could not understand it or comprehend that until I'm a parent. The fact that I'm a parent now of three boys, my oldest is about to turn 16, my youngest just turned 8. And like I remember wanting my dad to play with me and him sitting on the couch staring at me like, you kidding me right now? I can't even move. I'm not going to go throw the football. And like, I have those days being done with real estate or getting off, the clock with my business. And my son wants to go out and play baseball. I'm like, dear God, I don't have much energy right now, but I want to so bad. And so it helped me reconcile a lot of those internal battles. And then I ultimately give thanks for my situation, my past. It helped me mold and become the man I am today, which is a strange thing because I realized a lot of those probably situations, stories that I created weren't even real, didn't even exist. They just something I fabricated in my own mind to give me my own internal motivation, which is strange to think about that. That's still can't understand why I decided to think like the way I did, but I did. And so the man I am today is a lot healthier, happier, whole dude. And I would encourage men that whatever that battle is, that thing that they're dealing with that's mulling around the subsurface level, that they know it's there, they know it's a problem, because it manifests every now and then. It comes out in certain places in your life, or a feeling of inadequacy, or a feeling of, you know, frustration because you're capable of more and you're not doing more with your life. Um, Wanting to be a better father, better husband, better friend, you don't know how or why, and something continues to hold you back. I would encourage men to go and face that demon and go through that healing process so that it can ultimately free them up to become the best self, the true self that they know that they are capable of doing and becoming. And I'm grateful for having that opportunity. It was COVID when we're sitting around with nothing to do and staring at ourselves in the mirror, like, what the hell am I going to do with my life? I'm like, well, shit, now's the time. You know what I'm saying? And so I did. I did. So that's a little bit about my past and who I am and how I've become who I am today.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of times those things that happen in our childhood or in our life, we have to use those things as motivators
Mm.
to push ourselves forward. And a lot of times you may not understand it then. And once you finally slow down, and like you slowed down in 2020, you realized that these things that you were harboring were pushing you forward, and that you had to let them go,
Yeah,
and you let them go.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
man.
So, um, yeah, we're coming to the end of this podcast. So I got a few last questions for you. And what is one belief you had as a beginning investor that has turned out to be false, but may be holding people back from taking the leap into investing?
Great question. Great question. I want to talk about this for a minute. Especially now that I'm a coach, I see the same pattern. A lot of people deal with this imposter syndrome complex. They don't feel worthy, don't feel like this life is something they're capable. They don't feel like they have the skill sets, the mindset, or whatever it takes to become a successful entrepreneur, apartment investor, owner, syndicator. How that came about, how that manifests. I would be in these conferences, absolutely like sweating in my pits because I'm so nervous. I feel so out of place. Imagine a dude in the military, like not knowing anything about real estate, throwing himself, immersing himself in this environment. It was so foreign to me. I was so uncomfortable. I would leave these conferences and I would have to go down on the corner to the local pub and give me a beer to calm down, dude, and talk myself up to go back into that conference and freaking attack it, you know? And so I would say if that is, and I'm being very open about it, but may not manifest like that in a lot of people's lives, but a lot of people deal with that. If that's you, one, it's normal. Recognize it's normal. Your body's freaking out just in an environment it's never been in it before. So just tell me what the hell you're doing to me, right? But over time, through repetition and through intentionality, and really just staying consistent, putting yourself in the environment, he starts to be comfortable. Just like anything you're learning new, especially in the military, we all go through a lot of training to learn how to do something. I remember those very first flights that I had to learn to fly. And I was freaking scared out of my mind. Like, oh my God, this instructor is going to, first of all, he's going to hook me. And I don't want to get hooked. I don't want to fail. We hate failing. It's called hook. Like you're going to get a taco or like a unsat, like you suck, try again kind of thing. And I had to like learn how to overcome that fear of failing. So I drew from that experience in my military days into my apartment days. Another thing that I learned is, I'm not trying to sound woo woo, but am going to talk about the power of visualization. Being a pilot, a lot of our practice on the ground was literally closing our eyes and imagining where all these switches were and seeing ourselves flipping the switches and talking on the radio and flying the airplane. And I would fly my entire mission before I went and flew it the night before. I would chair fly the mission. And I realized there's something to this practice. And so I would literally see myself owning apartments. I would see myself on stage. I would see myself talking to investors. I would see myself closing deals. I see myself operating apartments. And over time, I memorized what it felt like to be that person. Ultimately, well, then I became that person. I embodied that person. Now I am that person because I always was. I just wasn't caught up to myself. And so today, I would say that for people to, one, stay in that pocket. If you feel uncomfortable, it's okay. It's normal. Just stay in the pocket. You eventually your body will give in, your mind will give in, and you will then be able to overcome imposter syndrome.
Nice. So, knowing what you know now, what piece of advice would you give yourself at the beginning of your real estate journey to make yourself have faster, easier, and smoother success?
Man, don't play small, dude. Like I realized every goal I've had, I've always thought too small. Honestly, you want to do something in business, you got to scale it. Like go big, go fast, go hard. Don't hold back. Build out that team as fast as possible. Scale it. especially right now that there's a huge opportunity, another window of opportunity coming up, multifamily. Go out and scoop up a crap ton of properties, but make sure you do it correctly though, and put in the systems and processes, build out those teams. Don't be the one man show thinking you can do it all. Everyone can see
Yes.
right through that, especially these days. They're not going to invest in your deal, but if you scale it correctly, and build out the team correctly, then that's how to be successful. I've always thought too small. It's one of the problems that I've had in my life. I've always had limited my own. We all have limited beliefs. I see how it's manifests in my own business, and so I would advise people to, when we set goals, I think we set kind of like, I feel like, yeah, I can probably get that. Like it's way out there, but I feel like I can still get it. But what if you set the goal that you have no freaking clue how you're going to get? Set that one, dude. Watch what happens, and then intentionally apply yourself to that thing. Watch what happens, because everything that I've put myself to in life, I wanted to be a pilot in the Air Force. It happened. I wanted to own multifamily. It freaking happened. Now I want to be, now I'm a coach and I'm helping other people do the same. And I have my own goals here. It's on its way. It's happening. It happens. It freaking happens. So if it happens, then why think small? Think big.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I love it. Is there any person, whether real estate related or not, that has led to your success?
Any person, real estate related or not, has led to my success. Everybody um, has led to my success, one way or another, good or bad, and good or bad. And it's a matter of perspective, really, if they're good or not. Learning that. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to avoid the question. Of course, my wife. I mean, she's absolutely the most wonderful, supportive person I've ever had in my entire life. She's been there since day one. We've been married almost 20 years. This coming June. Lucky man to still have her around. Quite honestly, to take her on this crazy bumpy ride that she didn't ask for in the beginning. So, heck yeah, my wife. I've had a lot of like mentors in my life, a lot of God fearing men speak into my life on multiple occasions, behind closed doors, multiple occasions, hearing my sob stories over and over again, and all my freaking whininess, all that, like stuck it out with me. A lot of amazing friends, again, like were there with me and like walked me through a lot of shit that I had to like put them through. And I wish I wouldn't have, because I didn't have the tools at the time. But today I take ownership of myself and who I am today. But it's, you know, don't take for granted those moments, those people that are investing in your lives. And a lot of my experience has been growing up in the church while in my adult life and early adult life. And I'm very grateful for all those people that have really invested in me today. And so it's definitely molded me and shaped me and helped me become who I am today.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, Ivan, it has been a blast having you as our guest today. As we close out, please tell our listeners where we can learn a little bit more about all the fabulous things you have going on right now.
100%. Come check me out on my Facebook group, Apartment Ninja Warriors. I drop daily content in there to help you understand how we can create the dream that we always set ourselves out to accomplish by teaching you how to truly operate. And in the base of that operation, you'll then be able to raise more capital, buy more deals, and scale your portfolio. Apartment Ninja Warriors Facebook group.
All right. Awesome, Ivan. Again, I want to thank you for your time today and all the wisdom you have provided to my listeners. It's greatly appreciated. And I want to thank you, our fans, for tuning in to another Service to Syndication podcast, where we want to provide value to you in your investing business. Please tune in to our next episode, where we will interview another fantastic investing professional. See you next time. Thanks for listening to the Service to Syndication podcast. We want you to know that we love and appreciate your support, and we are grateful about being a part of your journey to becoming a successful real estate entrepreneur. Please share this episode with a friend who you think will get a lot out of what you just heard. Send it to someone who you know is interested in real estate and dreams of having it all and being the best they can be in all areas of life. And if this was really valuable, share it on your social media media stories and timelines. Thank you for watching and listening. Now go be great.